Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the BassBlaster, and this is your Abu Garcia REVO Top 5 Tips, Techniques, and Trends of the Month. Number 1. Well, the old ICAST Fishing Tackle Trade Show was in July, and you know what that means. All kinds of new baits and stuff. And that means trends. Now, the fishing industry's trends are based on how people are fishing.
Yeah, duh.
And then what they sell and promote influences how we fish.
Marcel, we have a real problem here.
It is not a problem. It is a circle of life.
The circle of life is circling our life.
It's the circle of fishing life that circles us or something. Anyhow, like you probably figured, the number 1 trend at ICAST was forward-facing sonar stuff. Let's start with baits. You had various soft plastic finesse baits, including, of course, fluke-style soft plastic minnows, which were not the main deal, but we do have a few new good ones. Now, one you might already know about because it got a lot of attention in the pre-spawn pro tournaments earlier this year is the Rapala Crush City Mooch Minnow. Seems like Dustin Connell and Jacob Wheeler have won a bunch of tournaments on it already. Another one is the amazing looking Berkley Drip Minnow. It looks very real in person and has a pintail with that drip or bulb tail on the back for a subtle thump. Moving on, Big Bite Baits came out with that Nicorama worm, and it was designed and fished by MLF Bass Pro Tour phenom Drew Gill for, of course, Nico rigging and drop shotting. Crush City's new janitor worm is right along the same lines. And guess what? Dustin and Jacob have already done well with that one too. Another cool bait is a 3.5-inch Yamamoto Nuki Bug. It's one of those heavy soft plastics, which means it's a soft plastic that's heavier than a regular soft plastic, so you basically don't need to use a weight. It's kind of a heavy finesse or maybe a little power finesse bait. On the hard bait side, there's a new Booyah Flashpoint jerk bait. It has a metal blade embedded in the head of that bait that you can see that's there for a visual flash for the fish and also, of course, for sonar return. The new Bill Lewis Depth Charge gets down quick. You can actually walk it underwater and you can also fish it kind of like a spoon. Now there's more new stuff for sure along the forward-facing sonar lines, including the still kinda new Berkley forward-facing science baits that came out earlier this year. So there you go, that's number 1.
Alrighty then.
Number 2.
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Did Batman wear anything shiny? Was his car or jet or anything he had shiny? No, because for him, it's all about stealth. And that's the world we might be heading into on some lakes. Not just because of forward-facing sonar, but more because of fishing pressure and fish getting used to seeing the same presentations. Remember, we release them so they learn. So one way to be more stealthy is to copy Batman and go matte. Meaning matte colors. Now this has been a low-key deal for a little while, like when Megabass came out with some matte Vision 110 colors, and other folks, including some big swimbait makers, have come out with matte colors here and there. Now it's making its way to soft plastics, and leading the way is Great Lakes Finesse. All of their colors are matte, including their jig head colors.
So what do you think? Does it come in black?
Now, GLF main man Dan Miguel told me that before starting GLF, he used to rub all his soft plastics on his boat carpet to get the shine off them before tournaments. And he said he also used to sand off the shine on all his hard baits. He said, I truly believe that doing that has made me more money in tournaments than anything else. Wow, big statement. Even though we see forage as shiny, he thinks the bass don't. Now, it's tough to argue with him because his baits catch them. Also, that Big Bite Baits Nicorama worm that Drew Gill designed, well, all 12 colors are matte. He says with matte colors, he feels like he gets more bites in pressured situations, which basically is any tournament. Now, that's not a lot of companies and a lot of baits, but I really believe we're going to see more matte colors. If nothing else, it gives us more options.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Heck yeah, we can dig it. Number 3.
Stay off my list.
Hey, I dig that show, but in this case, it's stay on the terminal list, meaning, of course, terminal tackle, forward-facing sonar related, from the iCast show. Now, it's kind of a no-brainer if you have a bunch of new finesse baits and new finesse or refined finesse techniques. You're going to need new hardware to fish them on. So lots of new jig heads and hooks were at the iCast show. Here's a few of them. The Buckeye Freestyle head was designed by California pro and finesse Jedi Brent Ayler. And the big deal is it has 2 places where you can put a treble hook. On the bottom for open water, or on the top if you're crawling your bait along the bottom. Comes in an 1/8 to 3/4, different colors, a screw lock. Pretty cool. Brent also designed this new Gamakatsu G Finesse Stinger drop shot hook with a welded wire keeper right where he wanted it to keep those drop shot baits tight. Now at the iCast show, I was like, Brent, what are you doing, man? Nobody drop shots with a Gamakatsu G Finesse hook. And he was all,
Whatever, man.
just messing. Another cool deal is the new Berkley Fusion 19 hybrid jig head. The main deals on this, along with that hook, are ballast weighting, which keeps the bait upright and tracking true, a 90-degree line tie, and high-def detail with that 3D eye, so it's not just a plain circle or whatever. What's interesting is it'll come in a lot of different weights and hook sizes. So to me, it looks like Berkley is definitely making sure they're building an arsenal to cover the gamut of forward-facing sonar uses. Now the last deal is this head. Take a real good look at that. You notice anything weird? Yep, that line tie is facing backwards. What does that do? This.
Is gonna make your any really straight tail bait roll. So that rolling action.
Crazy. A lot of good new spinning gear too, and I got a shot out. Got a shot out.
Okay, let's just take it from the top.
A lot of good new spinning gear too, and I've got to shout out Abu Garcia's new Max spinning reels and Veritas spinning rods. Very good and very affordable. A few new forward-facing sonar-oriented braids were launched at iCast, and they're all about long casts and either sinking or neutral density to get your bait down faster and keep it in the strike zone longer. Seagar's JDM, which means Japan Domestic Market, PEX 8 or PEX 8 braid was launched at the Bassmaster Classic this year. And a lot of Seagar pros have already switched to it exclusively for spinning techniques. At iCast, Suffolk launched a new ultra-thin braid called Revolve. And Berkley launched what it calls the Maserati of finesse braids. It's called Forward Braid, and technically it isn't a braid, but that's a story for another time. Now, as I always say, you don't need forward-facing sonar to benefit from all this gear, so go out and fish, man. Number 4. I gotta mention big swim baits because that's been a trend the last few years at iCast, including this year. Not near as many baits as in the finesse category, but there are a few you should know about. The first is a no-brainer, a Mike Bucca designed trick shad. Now that bait's been out for a bit, but this one is an inch shorter at 6 inches and will retail for just 40 bucks.
Who does that? That's highway robbery.
Yes, it is, and we'll take it. Now, that's the first new bait from Mike's new partnership with GSM. It comes in 10 great colors. Keep them coming, man. Next up is the Fish Lab BBZ hard swim bait, which on the saltwater side won Best New Hard Lure at iCast. It's the same bait on the freshwater side. It'll come in 2 sizes, 4.5 and 6 inch, and then both will retail for under $20.
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, just a second.
We'll take that too. Good stuff from Fish Lab bait designer Bill Sementel and bait engineer Hide Iwasaki. It swims great, and when you stop it, it spins around and then it slowly sinks while also slowly rolling over like an injured bait fish would. Love it! Now on the soft swim bait side, I gotta mention the unrigged Berkley Cull Shad. When the pre-rig version of that bait first came out, or actually before it came out, Berkley pros were smashing them on it at the MLF Red Crest Championship and also at the Bassmaster Classic. Then this year, John Cox had a top 20 finish at the Red Crest using the unrigged version. Ain't it funny how finesse baits and big swim baits are really the two trends? Seem like total opposites. But bass can still be caught on crankbaits, top waters, jigs, you name it.
Go get him, buddy.
Number 5. Okay, changing gears, we're gonna finish this deal with Keith Carson. Now, Keith is a Florida boy and a well-known bank beater along with his best bud, John Cox. But Keith just won a smallmouth tournament, the MLF Invitational out of the Detroit River, Michigan. And here's the key part, he won it using forward-facing sonar. That took so many people by surprise, Keith was asked to make a formal statement about it. Here's what he said.
I'm ending the world.
Haha, that's about right. Anyhow, here's the main point. At the start of the season, Keith was himself a diehard bank beater. But at the first Bass Pro Tour event of the season at Toledo Bend Reservoir in Texas, he and Jacob Wheeler actually ended up fishing near each other, and Keith said he basically watched Jacob fish the whole time. Jacob, who finished 4th in that one, was putting a beat down on the bass and on Keith. Keith said he learned a ton about forward-facing sonar fishing just by watching Jacob. And he said being there in person is way different than watching him on TV. Anyhow, after that free lesson / spanking, Keith got determined. So he practiced his forward-facing sonar game dawn till dark whenever he could. First, it looked like this. Then when he got some forward-facing sonar muscles under him, it looked like this. All right, and then 7 months later, he won a tournament with it. Pretty incredible. So if you want a crash course on forward-facing sonar, here's the Keith Carson recipe. Watch a forward-facing sonar Jedi master on the water for at least a couple days and pay real close attention. Number 2, practice, practice, practice. And then the third one, just be okay with Johnny Cox never talking to you again. Yeah, just kidding on that one. The baby bass Maxent General bros are still bros.
We're bros from college.
Yeah, the College of Hard Fishing knocks. Will learning forward-facing sonar fast be a new trend? Let's see what happens, man. It ain't such a black box anymore. That's all I got for you this month. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Abu Garcia REVO. See you next month for more tips, techniques, and trends. God bless you.